Good morning, good afternoon to everybody who's joining us today. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us on today's live webinar for Monday CRM. We'll just give it about a minute for all of our participants to join us, get your audio set up. If you need to grab a glass of water, now's a great time to do so. I'll run through some housekeeping rules before we kick off in earnest, and then we will get underway. All right. As I said before, good morning or good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us on today's live webinar, where we're going to be talking about how you can supercharge your workflows with Monday CRM, and we will also be going through the Q2 product updates. So what I want to do is very quickly introduce our speakers for today. So today, very kindly joining us from Brisbane and from Strategix, we've got Sami. Sami is the special projects lead there, a wonderful customer of Monday and an amazing power user on the Monday CRM platform. We'll be talking to him about not only his journey with Monday CRM, but also his experience using the Monday workflows capability to help automate the work that they're doing. You've got me as well, Max. You've probably seen me before. Potentially this is our first time. I'm a senior product consultant here at Monday.com. I joined the CRM team 18 months ago. I came across from Salesforce, so got a wealth of experience in the CRM industry and look forward to sharing some of the insights from a product and a workflow perspective. And also joined by Jami. Jami, do you want to do your own introduction?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks, Max. So, hello, everybody. My name's Jami. I'm a solution engineer here based out of our Sydney office. I've been at Monday about 2.5 years, both in customer experience and solution engineering. And while I am not on the CRM team like Max, it's definitely my favorite product. And I think it has the most capacity for growth and amazing uses. So, very excited to speak to you all today.
I promise that bribe is coming in the mail, Jami. Thank you very much. Perfect. So just a little bit of housekeeping as we kick off. The LinkedIn codes underneath our names take you to the respective LinkedIn connection points. If you do want to add us, follow us, or just keep in touch, feel free to grab your phones, scan those codes. We will also send them out afterwards. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat functionality. We do have Brooke from our marketing team monitoring the chat. So if there are any questions, we will endeavor to get to a few of them as we can. Otherwise, if you use a question and answer, we will follow up with you and make sure that if any questions go unanswered, we can get in touch and help. So I wanted to start off with just a few questions, a little bit of a thought starter to get us in the mood for what we're thinking about today. So I want you to just very quickly start to think about, what sort of automations do you currently have in your CRM workflow? And if you have a number, or even if you have none, I want you to start to think about what are some of those processes that you know always happen in a given sequence that you could automate within the system. And off the back of that, as you start to think about some of the things that you could start to automate within the system, I also want you to think about, what are the benefits of automating beyond just saving time? And I think this is a really important question because I think this is maybe something that has changed in the last few years around expectations for software platforms. Now, I know for a lot of us, the workforce that we're working with is only getting younger as we get older. And I think that the expectations for people who have grown up digitally native, potentially have been using a computer or an iPad or some sort of digital device their entire life, their expectations around usabilities of platforms and the way that they work is quite different from potentially what we expected. So Jumping in, I want to talk about expectations changing in two ways. So we've got this idea of our customers' expectations of what we do changing, and then we have this idea of our internal or our users' expectations. So focusing first on our customer expectations, what's changed in the last sort of, maybe 5, 10 years around expectations, and how has that really driven the way that we need to create CRM systems to work for us? So I think the first one, and a really important one, something you've probably all experienced and potentially even noticed in yourself, a shift in the way that you expect to be interacted with, is that we know that 73% of customers now expect better personalization as technology advances. I, for one, know that I am in that category of person. I can't stand advertising that isn't personalized to me and isn't around my interests. Advertising that hits me in the wrong channel or isn't a part of what I've already been looking at or isn't something that I'm interested in is now a really jarring experience for me and actually probably damages brand more than it helps them, which is an interesting thing because, when I was growing up, it was all free-to-air television. You just got advertised at whatever was put on the television at that point in time, and it was never targeted. But now, with the amount of information at companies' fingertips, the expectation is that there is a high level of personalization around the way that we interact with customers. Any messaging, anything we know about them, we're expecting them to be able to bring to the forefront immediately. And this is backed up by what Deloitte found, where they saw a survey that over 80% or 80% of consumers are more likely to make a purchase when brands offer a personalized experience. And I think that all of us in the room today could say that we're more likely to make a positive buying decision when we are having that tailored or personalized customer experience. The second there is customer speed. And now when I talk about customer speed, the kind of key pieces of terminology you might hear in this space, you may have even heard me speak about, is speed to lead. How fast can we get in touch with that lead? How quickly can we respond to a customer? And so I think, something that's really important is capitalizing on moments of peak interest within our customer base. It's very common now for attention spans to dwindle very quickly. We've got a lot of the media that we consume is in bite-sized chunks, no longer than a couple of minutes worth of video. And so being able to capture someone's attention within that time span where they are actually interested in talking to you is really important. So 78% of customers choose to work with the company that responds first to their inquiry, which means that you need to capitalize on that moment of peak interest by immediately responding to them. And the chances of actually qualifying a lead drop by almost 10 times after the first 5 minutes. So how can we, as a business, capitalize on that? And it really is about being like getting in touch with the customer as fast as possible and making sure that through automation and not allowing this to be in the hands of individual users, we can make sure that they're getting a personalized experience as soon as possible and capitalizing on that moment of peak interest. So now I want to sort of change our focus from customer to end user. And this is talking about how have expectations from an end user perspective changed in terms of what we expect from our CRM. So I think the key one that we would notice with a younger workforce coming is the user interface. If the user interface isn't engaging, simple, the equivalent of something like a Facebook or an Instagram where we can navigate really simply. We know exactly where to find things. The settings can be there. We've got a bit of a news feed in terms of what do we actually have to look at. Then we'll find that people are dropping off. So end users now expect CRM systems to be really intuitive and easy to navigate. And even if you have a really well-built system, a cluttered interface can be the death of creating that CRM interface. So the other part that I want to talk about as well is user data. And I think this is a huge expectation shift in the way that we have a huge expectation shift in what we expect from our CRM. So high quality data, as we know, streamlines workflows. It's going to reduce any manual errors or manual corrections that you have to make. And it's also going to make sure that while you're using the platform, you are getting the benefit of that productivity and minimal resource usage. Additionally, it's going to make sure that you've got a streamlined process. And then On top of that, it's going to make sure that you're avoiding the risks of data issues, which can cost companies up to 20% of their revenue. Now, these expectations are expectations that we put on the system as users of it, but they're really important to recognize because Gartner, not that long ago, released a study that showed that 70% of CRM implementations fail when they get to the user adoption stage. So you can build it, but they will not come unless it is built the right way. So I think we need to take into account not only the expectations of our customers, but also the expectations of our users whenever we're thinking about our CRM. So what I want to do now is I want to introduce the star of our show today, our guest speaker, Sami from Strategix. He is the special projects lead over at Strategix. Sami, do you want to join us for a conversation, mate? And maybe you could start off by giving us a little introduction about Strategix and your role there.
Absolutely. Like I'm flattered by the words. Yeah, like I joined Strategix like 3 years ago. Strategix is like what we call in Australia an RTO, a registered training organization. Over the last 20 years, we've trained like over like 100,000 Australians and international students as well. Mainly like on vocational training like courses like enabling them like to a new profession, new career, like a promotion. Like our focus, despite like being a training organization, we're focused on the end game, which is like enabling those like life changes, those career changes. Because like in the end, no one likes to study like for nothing. Like everyone like study something with like a goal. So yeah, I joined Strategics as like a contract administrator, and I should do that. Like to be honest, my first task was to implement some like e-signing solutions. But eventually, like because I have like some programming skills and like I do very well with like systems, they put me like as a projects lead, like a special projects lead, and I have been implementing all systems for Strategics in the last couple of years.
Amazing. Thanks, Sam. And yeah, I mean, you really are the star of the show today. It was fantastic working with you during the evaluation that Strategix went through and through this implementation. But as the lead for special projects at Strategix, you would have been, I imagine, at the forefront of a lot of the technology changes in the business. I'd love to understand from your perspective, in that position at the company, how do you think that CRM expectations from a business perspective have changed?
Uh, a lot, a lot. Like CRMs have been like a wonderful tool, like for to speed, to organize, to facilitate work. Um, it's but what happened like in the last few years, I think, is it's getting way harder like to
Mm.
operate those CRMs, and that has been like creating some issues with adoption. Our previous experiences with like other systems before we moved to Monday, we had like some major adoption issues in regards to like how easy was the platform to operate, how like it wouldn't like fit very well with like the other systems that we had, and yeah, like I must say like a lot of like those issues, a lot of those problems were solved as soon as we moved to Monday.
Oh, fantastic, mate. And we're really glad that we have been able to help you with those problems. And it's also very gratifying to hear that, once you do solve those problems from a user perspective, a user interface, and from an automation and workflow perspective, you can get that level of engagement that you're looking for. I'd love to understand, as those expectations have changed internally and externally, how have your CRM expectations changed? And what were some of the previous challenges that you had with your previous CRM provider?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are kind of like in a special case because we like when we looked for Monday, when we like started looking for a better solution, better CRM solution, we were looking on the perfect tool to complement a different system, like our case, like a student management system. So like this particular tool needed to be like super flexible, super easy to use, so it could like have a good dialogue with our student management system. Previous issues that we had, like some of them are like it's like it wasn't a good fit in some cases. For instance, common issue that we had like before, a lot of like CRMs, they treat like email addresses, phone numbers as a unique ID. So you
Mm,
cannot have like two users with the same email address with the same phone number. When you're like a training college, when you're like educating like both adults but like also like underage students, it's very common for a parent to like provide their own email address like for all their kids, 3 4 kids. So like all those problems we were having, because then our CRM wouldn't be able to like create 4 users, because like it was the same email address, it was the same phone number. What ended up happening, like when we had like other CRMs, was a lot of the time for like specific cases, the company would reverse to a spreadsheet.
mm,
Um, and with time, like the other CRMs were like users were stopping to use them, and like spreadsheets were like appearing out of nowhere, and it was like very very difficult.
Spontaneous
So
integration.
uh and it's not like that we didn't try, we actually tried a lot, but it also leads like being not a good fit and being not being that flexible. uh we had like cases where out of nowhere, when I look at the CRM, someone was going to create a new user, there were like 4 different date of birth fields, because we're trying to force like a different CRM to like
Mm,
fit the needs. So in that case, like Monday, Monday actually gave us a lot of freedom to like do the things that how we want to do, and to like make the two systems work together.
yeah. No, I think it's a couple of really great points there. I mean, spontaneous Excel creation is definitely a a symptom of a CRM that's not working the way that you want it to, where you're having to do the work for it, not it working for you. I think that's something that, as you said, when you get it set up the right way, that's something that you can remedy. Um, I think, it's also a great opportunity for us to, kind of segue into this idea of, because you're in such a specialized market where you're working across not just the customers, and the customers aren't always, at unique email addresses, but sometimes you're working with partnership teams as a registered trade organization. Like with this many touch points, how has the automation helped you? And maybe to help illustrate that a bit, you could give us an example of where you've used workflows to help consolidate complex automation chains?
Yeah, there is like there is definitely some like successes that we experimented with workflows, like the recent months after we onboarded with Monday. The main one was right now, like after like a student enrolls, we used to have like a dedicated team, like customer service agents that would call to the students and would treat with the student like if they needed like one or other like different documents, and try to follow and to source that information for us. Um, Surprisingly enough, like I out of like 10 students that would enroll with us, we would only get answers and responses like out of 4 of them.
Mm,
Uh, what we did, like we implemented like a series of automations that all this initial follow-up process was fully automated, like the initial emails, the sequences, like the forms that the students would be asked to answer, even like some document collection through like some of the Monday integrations. And right now, like our numbers out of like the 10 students, the same 10 students that would enroll with us, right now our numbers are like on 67%,
Wow.
provide everything before we actually need to engage with them, before we actually need to ask one of our customer success agents, one of our like we call them academic advisors, to call the student and say, hey, like your course is like starting in a week. I see like you are missing some documents. Would you be able to provide us? So like before we would have like 40% of like conversion, let's say, for like a someone that was wanted to study with us. Now,
Mm.
like that is 67%, like even before we need to dedicate like someone to follow up on that.
That's amazing. An over 25% increase in the like collecting of information is amazing. But on top of that, I imagine that it's just a really good feeling to be able to save those course coordinators the time that it takes to have to call the student and go through the rigmarole of taking them through the process of recording all the information. So you've not only improved one metric on top of like getting more of those registrations earlier, but you've also saved quite a lot of time across the business. So I mean that's fantastic to start with. In terms of the workflow and automation, I'd love to hear, we see Monday being compared to a lot of other platforms, and during your evaluation, you would have looked at a number of other CRMs. But in terms of that workflow and automation process, where was it that Monday outshone the competition?
Uh, First of all, like automations, like the traditional Monday automations, one of the best things is it kind of mimics natural language in some ways
Hmm.
to facilitate like what do you want to do. In terms of like uh, basically freeing me like of having to assist everyone with automations. Now we have other users. There were not technical users. They can just go like, oh, what I want to do is like, if like the status of I shouldn't change to enrolled, I want to like move them to a specific group. They're now able to do that without asking me, like, or asking like one of the other like system administrators to do that for them. They're like doing by themselves. um which is like by itself it's amazing. Like we have people that uh it's very surprising for us to see people that like have no technical background to be able to do those and dabble into like those automations by their own. In terms of workflows specifically, uh I must say, like, because we joined Monday like at the beginning of the year, so we kind of got like the release just in time, the release of workflows.
Mm.
So I must say, I'm pretty sure it was like a very was a highly requested like feature. Um, in my case, is the ability to consolidate multiple automations into like a single workflow.
Mm.
Uh, Whenever like I'm dealing with like more complex logics, more complex steps. I usually revert to like a workflow when I want to centralize, want to like consolidate the automations that sometimes do pretty much like the same thing for different like staff. I use a workflow, and like one of the best features that I use like workflow with use workflows for is the ability to like set a delay, set a like a, okay, I want this to happen, but only after an event happen, and that is like super powerful.
Nice. So you're able to choose when the automations are firing and then kind of pick the delays and how it happens. That is a really powerful way to be able to control it. And I'm really glad that today we'll be going through a bit of a masterclass for everybody on the call with Jami. She'll be running us through how to use the Monday workflows. If you're already using them, maybe how to get started or how to start using them in a little bit more of a complex scenario. And if you haven't seen them before, a really great opportunity to get a bit more of an understanding of what is the power that we're talking about here with Sammy in terms of how we can start to consolidate these complex automations into a workflow. I'll also ask Sammy, a piece of advice for the customers on the call who maybe are facing the same problems that you had. Like, what would your nugget of wisdom or your piece of advice be for them?
Um, so I was once asked by my CEO, like, why are we automating like so many things if it only takes like 10 seconds to do like a specific task or something like that? And what I said to him, like, and apparently it landed very well, is yeah, like that specific task might only take 10 seconds, but it only takes 10 seconds after the 5 emails that the person needs to like reply, after the 2 meetings that the person needs to attend. Like doesn't work like on weekends. And like I cannot be on there like holidays as well. So and like yeah, that makes sense. Like it only takes 10 seconds, but like that can take up to like a month, depending like when like that specific task arrived. So that is like my piece of wisdom, like in terms of automations. It never sleeps. It doesn't have annual holidays. And you can do like whatever you want.
The perfect business analyst. It never needs anything from you. It's just doing its job in the background. I think
Yeah.
that's a great piece of advice, Sammy. I think like for a lot of people, they have great ideas, but it's not just what's the great idea. How do I then articulate that to my leadership team to get buy-in from them to make the change that I want to see within the business? So I think that's a really fantastic piece of advice. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sam. Feel free to stay on the call. What we're going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Jamie. Jamie, I'd love you if you're free to take everybody through a little bit of a view of how to use Monday workflows and potentially how to set them up.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. Thank you for the kind introduction. So is everybody able to see a workflow? I'll use you as the control, Max.
Yep,
You able to
looks
see?
good.
Great. So what we're looking at here is we have two different workflows that we'll be going through today. So these workflows, parts of them could be built in regular automations, whereas some of them, like Sam was saying before, like the delay feature, that is exclusive to our workflow specifically. So the first workflow we'll be going through is called lead lifecycle. So what this looks like is when an item is created, so as soon as that lead comes in, we're going to capture the information from that item and we're going to add an assignee right away. I want to set a delay. So 2 days after, I want to check up and see if my team has actually gone out and contacted that lead. If the status is not contacted after 2 days, so we said the status is contacted, we've indicated no, then we're going to send an email out to that contact to say, hey, we would love to chat for you. We'll give you a call shortly, just so that they know they aren't forgotten. And then we can change the status of the item to needs attention and alert the owner. So this flow is basically somebody's coming in, we need to add an assignee, and we need to ensure that they're being contacted and at appropriate duration. If they're not being contacted, we reach out for them automatically. So going back to if somebody misses a day of work because they're sick, or if somebody has a holiday and an item comes through, this automation will continue to run, still send that email out to the customer, and then also alert internally. So what it would look like when we go to build these workflows. We can build workflows either from the left-hand panel where it says workflows, or we have a workflow center where we can view all the workflows we have across the account. We can edit the workflows by clicking into them. So we go to edit our workflows, we can indicate other actions that we would like to take. So just like in automation, we can do a direct action. So when this happens, do that. We can also choose if else conditions, so a yes or no. If status matches this, yes. If status doesn't match this, and still see what that looks like across the entire workflow. We can also have multi-branch conditions, which I'll show you in our next one. This would be great for your status columns for regional routing, for example, as well as wait for a certain event to happen and delay. Wait for an event and delay are not available in our regular automations. So I'm definitely a person who still uses regular automations in my day-to-day, but these workflows can help take more complex processes and put them into a much more digestible view. So what it would look like to build, I'm going to build one for my left panel. So I'll build a workflow. We'll call this webinar workflow. And we'll build something pretty similar to what we're seeing here. So a lead comes in, routing it automatically and sending that email out. When we go to create the workflow, we first have to choose the trigger like we would in a regular automation. So I'll choose when item is created and I'll indicate my board. So I'm going to choose my leads board. So when item is created on the leads board, I need to assign an SDR. So I'm going to have a direct action and I'll hit assign. So I'll add an assignee. It'll be me. So every time we have a new lead come in, it's going to assign me as the owner. So now I want to wait and see if I follow up on time. I know I'm managing myself in this moment. So I'm going to add in a delay, and we'll add in that delay for 2 days. So now 2 days, and I can set the time to be, you can have it for the start of your business day, end of your business day, and set that time dynamically. We'll add in that delay, and then we want to make sure that we're contacting our leads. So this is where we bring in the if else. So in this case, we'll say if status is something. If the status is contacted, we don't want to do anything. So if they've been contacted, amazing, we know these leads are being nurtured. But what we want to choose is if they have not been contacted. So then I'll indicate the actions from here. So if they haven't been contacted, then we can create a notification. So I can add notify, and you can notify the person who was assigned. So we can say, hey, follow up, please. Add in the text like you would in a regular notification automation. Add in a quick hello, and then you can indicate who that recipient is going to be. So we add in that notification, and we can send out an email like we would in our automation. So whether you're using Gmail or Outlook, it would look identical in terms of building these workflows out. Once I am done with my workflow, I'll go ahead and delete this one for now. So once I've completed it and I'm ready to have it be activated, I'll hit activate workflow. So this will actually turn it on. One of the beautiful parts about this workflow builder is it saves drafts. So if you haven't had a chance to activate the workflow and you're still editing it, you have an option to come back and edit it later on. So you can toggle back and forth things if you need. And where the workflows will really come into play is when you need to have other people or stakeholders involved. So we can add other individuals. I don't think I have Max on my account. I probably should add Max on my account, but I do have Mike Wazowski. So I'll add Mike, and now he has access to view this workflow as well. Where automations can be only used and edited by one singular person, workflows allows multiple individuals to have access to edit, duplicate the workflow, and share it out. There's also a possibility to deactivate it, so you can still keep it and refer back to it later on, or you can archive it if you don't want to use it anymore. Another workflow that we'll see today will be those multi-branch conditions. So this would be regional lead capture. So just like we saw on the last workflow, when an item is created, so when that lead comes in, we're going to grab the information from the item. And instead of assigning the same SDR every single time, we want to be able to assign them by specific region. So in this case, we have if status matches region, and we have all the states of Australia with different assignees included. So this allows for us to automatically assign to multiple individuals all at one time without creating all individual automations. We could create automations for each person to route, but with the workflow builder, it allows one concise view for how we can see the data. And then say we have different SLAs for these different regions. We can always go into the workflow and we can say for Queensland, we want to set a follow-up reminder. So we could set a date, for example, and say a contact date. So we have the possibility to edit different SLAs, different communication methods, all from within this one workflow view. So if anything's a bit too complex, workflows is really going to come into handy. Not necessarily fully part of this webinar, but just some other features that we can use with workflows. Workflows has triggers that don't necessarily exist in the rest of Monday.com automations. So some of those triggers, for example, would be when a person joins the account. So this would be a great use case for onboarding new team members to your account. You can have them join the account. You can invite them to relevant boards that they may need or send them a welcome email. And so we could say when person joins account as one of them. We also have the ability to enroll into sequences all the way from these workflows, and you can add this in midway as well. And we have our regular typical column changes like we would in typical board automations. So workflows can be that extremely powerful tool to help make a big, complicated web a lot simpler and see everything all in a nice, beautiful order. From these workflows, see if there's anything else we have. We can also change the workflows to private. So we have the ability to keep them public, or you can keep them private to specific individuals. We can duplicate workflows. And if you have any questions on these workflows, we can also ask our knowledge base at our help center or reach out to our customer experience team. So while I have this up, I'm happy to take a couple of questions on workflows. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a question here if you'd like me to read
Oh,
one out
yes.
for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see him up there.
we've got a question here. When members are given access to the workflows, do they need to be the owner of the workflow to edit or delete them?
Oh, that's a great question. So if somebody has access to a workflow, they should be able to edit it, but unless they are the owner, they should not be able to delete it.
Okay, nice. So we do have the permissions there to make sure that, only the people who should be able to delete or deactivate workflows will be set up from within the platform. I've got another one here.
Mhm.
Um, we've got questions about round robin functions for assigning salespeople within like a pre-built round robin. Jamie, do you know if that's available? I've seen a couple of solutions to it that have been built out by a number of partners that I work with, but is that something that Monday has natively built into our kind of routing?
Natively, round robin isn't a feature yet.
Mhm.
We do have a round robin assignment app available in our apps marketplace. So I would say that's probably going to be your best bet for the moment. But where the workflows will come in is if you know who it would be best to route to. And then you can also create a workflow that if somebody's not available, to assign someone else. So it's possible to add in those changes, but for a direct round robin, I'd say the best answer would be using that round robin app in the apps marketplace.
Phenomenal. Okay,
Hmm.
perfect. Maybe since we're talking about the roadmap there and what's available, not yet,
Hmm.
maybe I'll take back over and launch into the Q2 product updates, let people know what has come out, and then also take an opportunity to go through what's on our future facing as well.
Absolutely. I think people are hungry for the roadmap. So feel free to take it away, Max. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jamie. Really appreciate it. That was a really great masterclass on how to use workflows. Okay. So, team, welcome to the Q2 product update section of this webinar. We will be recording this webinar and we will send it out afterwards. If you do have to drop off in the meantime, this will be going around afterwards. For those of you who can stay with me and want to go through the feature updates, I'll be taking you through live what we've released in Q2 and what we're looking at for Q3 and potentially a little bit of Q4. So, jumping in. We have brought out our Monday MCP. So for all of you AI nerds out there, this is a really exciting part of the Monday platform. So now you can make the Monday CRM AI first, and you can actually bring your own large language model to the platform to perform actions on the behalf of any of your users. So the key changes that this is going to allow you to start to do in the platform, using any of the associated LLMs that we have, which you can find by going to our support article. You can create specific tasks or items within boards. You can populate and create new boards on your behalf. You can add custom activities into the Monday CRM. You can update board columns on your behalf so that you don't have to go in and make those nitty-gritty changes yourself. And you can also write item updates and summaries. So if you're using Claude and you want to bring that into the Monday MCP and start to be able to control the Monday CRM with AI, this is a really exciting update and a release that is already out, released in Q2. So time to start playing around with it. Also released in Q2, a few of you would already be aware, but we are on our campaigns journey as a company. So we are releasing marketing campaigns via email. This is now in the market. We have made a number of changes already to the platform to make the interface more accessible, create templates, and be able to give you better control of the platform. So we're making it easier than ever to engage with your market use. So now you can schedule, design, and execute your marketing vision within the Monday platform. So key changes that we've had from the initial beta release. So we've been through an alpha or beta, and now we are starting our general release. We can now import contacts from the CRM. You also have the option of a dedicated IP, which Monday will help you warm up and maintain. So if you have security requirements, potentially if you have to be GDPR compliant for any reason, you can have your own dedicated IP to help you control that. Additionally, this is a really exciting update, something that a lot of people were asking for during the alpha and beta. We now have templated designs. So you can see in the bottom right hand there, we've got the template gallery. So in here, you can save templates of designs that you've made, whether you have a monthly newsletter that needs to look relatively similar every time you send it out, or potentially you have an event schedule that you use and you want to be able to send that out. You can now create templates within the gallery and make it a lot faster to engage with your market. Also, if you have a marketing team or a design, copy, and content team who want to come in and create those templates and then have the users send this out themselves, it's a great way to start to bring the team into it. Like Sammy was talking about, where you've got a CRM that has the user interface that you're expecting, then you are going to get those non-technical users starting to take control of their own journeys within the platform. Additionally, exciting, we also have workflows built into campaigns now as well. So if you're on the enterprise platform in campaigns, you will get access to the Monday workflows as well. For example, you may want to have a birthday email that's automatically sent out. So as simply as picking the birthday date column, setting up a workflow that triggers based on when that date arrives, choosing to email and selecting from one of the templates in campaigns, you can actually send them an email, an HTML enriched email automatically on their birthday to make sure that you're staying in touch with your customers. Obviously, it doesn't have to just be a birthday, but just a cool little example for you. The other part of the Monday platform, which we know people love, is the email sequences. And we are continuing to invest in this space really heavily. And we've had a number of really exciting improvements released in Q2 that I want to share with you. So we've focused this quarter's releases around usability, personalization, and engagement. So now the user interface for sequences has been improved to allow you to do a number of things that you weren't able to do before. And this is going to go over 2 slides. So if you're not sure what it's going to look like, wait till the next slide. But we now have an email sequences enrollment tab where you can start to look at improved analytics of when specific actions took place and what actions are still to come. So you can see a GIF on the right-hand side that is running at the moment, which is showing us a step-by-step of how we can see which tasks have been completed, which tasks are upcoming, and which ones potentially, if there was a malfunction or failed to send, you'll be able to do that analysis from within the platform. Monday sequences now include support of the mirror columns, which means you can have much deeper personalization within any of the sequences that you are sending out. So if you want to mirror in data from another board, maybe information about the account in a contacts board, or you want to pull through opportunity details into a quote record, you can have all of that now with the mirror column support in sequences. We've also got email sequences, email signatures in the sequences, which means that you can have a much more personalized company experience. And additionally, we've improved the UI of the platform in general, including a number of filters. There's an intuitive drag and drop reorder process now for steps. You can name the steps custom names so that people are aware of what they're doing. But also if you have an internal piece of terminology to describe what happens on that step, maybe it's a sales methodology or a framework that you want to put in there, you can now custom name each step. And then you've also got rules navigation within the platform. So you'll be able to see in more detail what are the rules that you're setting up in each of the sequences. So here is a little visualization, if you are using the sequences, what the improvements are that you'll be looking for. So we've got our drag and drop in the bottom left here where we can see how we can drag any of our steps and move them around for an intuitive reorder. We can see in the top right here, we've got the ability to choose quick filters and do filtering based on what sequences we have in there, which boards they're connected to, or who creates or owns them. And then finally, the rules process in the bottom right here, where we can see the removal rules and how we want to update statuses on behalf of those removal rules as they're coming through. So we can see, when an email is replied to, then we want to remove them from the sequence because we've turned it on. We've chosen the status is going to be moved to contacted so that you can see how all of that is put together. Jumping on, we also had a number of mobile updates as well, which I think is a really exciting part of the platform. At Monday, we definitely agree with the idea that you need support in the field because your work is what you do, not where you do it. And so we want to make sure that it's faster to record notes, it's simpler to send any of your follow-up emails, and we want to give you access to the Monday CRM wherever you are or wherever you find yourself doing that work. So the key changes in order to support this vision from our side is we now have speech to text, which is in Android, soon to be released in iOS. So gone are the days of having to slowly type out a note. You can now turn on a voice functionality and have an immediate voice to text. So you can very quickly take detailed notes about your thoughts while visiting a customer. Gone are the days of putting that in a little black book, telling yourself you were going to enter it into the CRM, completely forgetting, and then not having the note on hand when you needed it. Now you can just start that voice note and immediately put it in there. Additionally, in-app email composer, this is a really exciting part. No longer do you have to cross-launch into your Outlook or your Gmail. You've now got the ability to send emails directly out of the Monday CRM platform on your phone, supported in the same way that emails and activities is in the desktop app. So that will all be recorded. Okay. Jumping into the quotes and invoices changes that we've seen in Q2. So these are some really exciting changes. If you are using the quotes and invoices functionality, I think you'll find this has made life a lot easier. If you're not seeing it yet, it is in gradual release at the moment, but we have enhanced our quote to cash process within the Monday platform by changing the user interface and giving you access to more flexibility. So we want to make sure that you're able to control line level discounts, signatures, and revisions for trickier deals, and make sure that you can see all of that in one place. So the key changes, we've now got discounts. Before you had to add adjustments down here, and you were only able to add them as you went. Now you can add them into the pricing table. So you can have adjustments at a line level if you need to give discounts on specific rates of hours or potentially on bulk orders for certain numbers of SKUs. You can put these adjustments manually in here. We've now got the option to add e-signature if you want to, and also you can have a wet signature as well. So if you need to collect that information from customers, sign off on purchase orders, or manage the quote process more holistically, you can do that. And additionally, you now have the ability to duplicate an existing quote and then edit it. So you can start to revise quotes within the CRM system and have a record of what previous versions looked like. So before that leaves us at the Q2 updates. I'm now going to take us through very quick look at what is on our beta releases at the moment, or beta releases at the moment, and what's in our roadmap as well. So a bit of a forward-looking statement here. None of the timelines given in this are commitments to the timeline or the product release. It is just a visual for what we want to release to you guys, and a bit of an idea of what our roadmap is going to look like. So if you haven't seen it already, Monday CRM now has a Monday Mansions built in as well. So what this allows you to do is an integration into a virtual meeting platform where you can start to use the Monday virtual meeting space to host your events. So whether that's converting leads, hosting a team event, or creating any other kind of engaging process within Monday, you've now got the Monday Mansion, which you can explore. This seems to be the future for a lot of teams in terms of the way they want to engage with their customers. It is a lot more immersive than your typical Zoom meeting. So potentially we'll be hosting our product updates in the Monday Mansion in the future. As you go through, you can see how you can set it up. It's very quick to set up and connect to the contacts board. You then choose what's going to be in your event space, what you want to put in there. You can customize the venue, and then you can choose to send out this virtual event and host it all within the Monday platform. So if you haven't tried it out yet, I would recommend having a little bit of a play around, maybe hosting your next team meeting in the Monday mansion, just to get a feel for it. It's definitely a lot of fun, and it'll be something new for the team to sink their teeth into. All right. Monday's also, we're talking about the advent of the MCP being released. We also have an AI Sidekick now built into the platform. So this is in our beta release. Some of you may have access to it already, but what you're going to be able to do is start to control some specific CRM functionality straight out of your AI. So acting almost like an assistant to you. So it's going to be a game changer when it's built into the workflow and helps you make decisions faster and meet any of your deadlines faster as well. So what this features is item level AI to help you do more. So if you click on an item, you can interrogate the data that sits behind it, ask it questions, get it to tell you potentially, what were the last contact points on this deal? When is the bid date due? How many statuses are, still outstanding, and giving you a bit more. And there's also customized prompts as well, where you can give it either suggested or customized prompts to help you understand more about what it is that you're looking at. Monday's also released a note taker. This is going to be a bit of a game changer for us in terms of the way that we record information, especially when meeting with clients. So gone are the days of, walking into a meeting, hurriedly writing into a little black book with almost unintelligible scrawl about the key details from a very important meeting. So the Monday note taker, our little purple llama super assistant, is going to join you in the call and do all that heavy lifting for you. So what we've got is an AI generated overview, which is going to tell you what the pain points, desired solution, and an overview of the meeting. We're going to have suggested next steps, a transcript, and participants all available for you. You can take live notes during the meeting, which will appear with the note taker. You can have conversational AI to help analyze calls and interrogate what's sitting behind it, asking it any questions like, what are the risks or blockers? Who are the key competition that we may be finding in here? And additionally, that live note taking will then be timestamped, so you can go back and look at your own thoughts as you were going through it. Now, a big thing that a lot of organizations that we're working with are looking for is the ability to choose the email association rules within the platform. This is a planned release for Q3. What we're looking at doing here is giving more flexibility and control to the user and to the administrators of the platform to associate communications with specific deals, accounts, and contacts. So as you can see in the right-hand pane there, you're going to be able to choose which associated items this email will be logged against. So if you do have potentially partners, lawyers, or other kind of aggregation points of communication but they should still be related to specific clients, you'll now be able to choose how to associate those items as they come into the Monday CRM. The account association rules are an extension of this release for manual association. So we're going to give the admin more access control about where that communication is going to appear within the account. So we're going to improve the configuration of the rules across the account to streamline capturing any of that communication. So we're going to be able to choose email, meeting, and calendar association rules. So not just for emails, but any calendar or meeting events that happened as well. You're also going to be able to choose BCC, email exclusions, and connected boards and do more. And then additionally, you're going to be able to choose what calendar contacts and connected items are getting associated within the Monday platform. Quotes and invoices, we're looking at even more engaging user experience. We're looking at making the quoting process simpler. From most of my conversations with our customers, what I hear is the quoting process is always too complicated. It's difficult. It's not standardized. It's hard to review. So what we want to do at Monday is make those things easier and give the time back to the team. So we want to make it more engaging and efficient for all users, and we want to bring better customization. So we want to improve that with better insights and improved dashboards. So what you're going to see on the right there is a bit of an insight into what we're thinking for the Monday quotes and invoices. A highly customizable document will be able to be generated from the Monday platform. You're going to have that live document editor in the right-hand side. Changes made on the left will appear on the right, so you can preview live what changes are happening in there. It's going to have increased connectivity with the opportunities entity. So you're going to be able to see all of the revised quotes in there. You're going to be able to make sure that you see what quotes are associated with which opportunities. You're going to get the opportunity to put in a pricing table as well so that you can choose how much information is being shared around the pricing and discounts. And off the back of that, we're also releasing improved reports and dashboards so you can see which quotes are being accepted by customers most often. Thank you very much for joining us on today's webinar. We've run right up to that hour mark. I really appreciate the time that you've all taken today. Before you go, I would like to mention that we are running a deep dive into the Monday campaigns release in a couple of weeks. There will be a survey, I believe, at the end of this webinar, potentially already been shared, but we will invite you to join us at that webinar as well. A few of my colleagues will be taking you through, what are the key advancements in the Monday campaigns and how can you start to use that in conjunction with your CRM to generate more leads for your organization. So once again, thank you all very much for the time. If you've got any final questions, pop them in the Q&A. We will endeavor to reach out to you before the middle of next week to get back to you with answers on any of those technical questions that have come through. Otherwise, there'll be a recording available as soon as we are able. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.